I'm going to show a little bit about notifications in Slack from Salesforce using Salesforce Flow. Okay, so here we are in a Slack workspace, and I've got a workflow set up to log a case. That log a case will prompt a form fill, and I'll just say I can't log in. Oh. And when we do this, this is going to create the case in Salesforce. In this case, I've got it configured to send a platform event back to Salesforce to then pick up and then post the message and then send a reply. So this is the way I've configured this particular flow. But the idea here is that we do have a case now. And when I hit and look at this case in Salesforce, you'll see we've got a case ID. Let me drag that down so you can see it. So we got the ID, of course, ending XAAL. And here we see our linked conversation. So we ship an object called linked conversations, and you'll see that it's linking the record. Here's our record we just linked, XAAL. For the case to a particular channel in Slack. And so we can use this as a reference to then post back updates to that particular conversation. Let's show you how to do that. Okay, so we're going to do that in Salesforce Flow. So we're going to pick a record triggered flow, and this one's going to be super simple. We'll just trigger off of the case being closed. So the use case here is someone posts the case, we want to update the channel that the case is now resolved, so everyone's in the loop. So we'll pick the case object. We'll set the entry criteria we'll trigger when it's updated, and we'll set the criteria to be when the case status is closed. Okay. That looks good. Now we need to go look up our linked conversation to know which channel to post to. Okay, so we're going to hit a get records, and we're going to call this get linked conversation, and we'll call this the linked conversation object that we ship with. And we're going to look for is this is customizable, by the way. So what I'm going to look for is the Centro record ID equals, in this case we want it, the case triggered this flow, so we just need the case ID. Okay, so now we should match on the one linked conversation record that it matches to. We'll store all the fields. All right, so now we just need to set some variables so that we can pass them through to our notification element. So we'll call this set vars. We'll create a new variable here called var channel ID. And that will equal from our linked conversation variable the channel ID. All right, while we're at it, we're going to set another variable. We'll set the record ID. That might come in handy. And this is going to be set from the record triggered flow. Okay, so now we just need to post our notification. So Centro ships with several elements, of course, so we'll set the send notification to Slack. And we'll label this post close notification. And we could pick a hard-coded channel, but depending on how you're set up, you might have multiple channels where people can create cases, right? So we actually want to use the variable for the channel ID we just got. And we can give it a custom message. We'll say something like, here, hey, here, the case is closed. And we can give some options like to pin the message to the channel or not. We can start a thread. Here's an option. Maybe I'll do this in another video where we can alert just the person who logged the case as an ephemeral that it's done. Also note that we could DM the person who created the case instead of alerting the whole channel. So we would just pick a Slack member ID for the variable, and I could show you how to do that in another video, but for now we're just going to alert the entire channel. Attach a record. If we want to post the case details so everyone can know what we're talking about, we're going to use that record ID. We could use the record ID from the record trigger flow. I just want to show the example that you can give it a variable and it will pass through the record details for that variable. Okay, and then maybe we'll have a custom button here called dismiss. And for fun, we could say reopen. I won't wire that up, but just give you the idea there's some things you can do here. So in this case, I'll delete the message after the post so we can keep our Slack channel clean. For reopen, we could publish this as a platform event and have that fire a platform event in Salesforce, so we can then reopen the case and ask the person who reopened it some details of why it wasn't closed. Okay, so that's it. I think this should work. Let's go ahead and test it. We'll call this Centro case closed notification. We'll activate, and then we'll go back to our case and go ahead and close it. And if I did everything right, we should see a notification in our channel. There it is. Hey, here the case is closed. There we've got our details. Dismiss will close the message. All right, that's it for today. Let us know if you want to see other things in action. Thank you.